easy. So here's a couple things that helped me. Number one, I like to break things down smaller and go slower when they seem impossible at first or very difficult. So you want to, when you're holding it like this, okay, that's the way you hold it. I'm skipping a couple steps because there's a lot of information out there. But when you want to start getting to the point where you're swinging this and catching, okay, you want to start just by practice catching it, okay? And I'm going to show you a couple ways to catch it, to practice that. But first things first, when you swing it, when it goes over this way, you want to have your thumb and your finger together and have it come over the thumb and hit the asalato, okay? So it comes over the thumb and hits it, and then comes back around and hits it. Now, when you come back around, it's going to hit and then go up. The fingers are going to go allow the element there to go up, okay, to make room to catch the other element with your bottom finger or your bottom two fingers. So it's going to hit it and it's going to go up and you're going to make room to catch it. So having these fingers move out of the way and developing that is very helpful. One of the things I noticed that even though when I started playing these and getting this idea down is that when I had a problem with catching it, I could hold it no problem. So if I could hold it no problem, then certainly I should be able to catch it, right? And what I mean by that is I was thinking that it wasn't long enough. But everywhere I looked, it said I should be able to fit a finger in here. So everything I was doing passed the test of it being the right length. So what I figured is I just needed some help with catching it. So I started small, started slow, and started by just practicing trying to do that. And I just kept trying to catch it, and that was difficult at first. One of the things I noticed is that it would hit down here, see how far down that is, and I wouldn't have enough space and time to catch it. So the timing was an issue, and also not allowing one of the nuts, the elements, to actually be out of the way to catch it. So I had to find a way to get the timing right so that when this nut comes up, I can push it up and allow this to catch. So I'm using my thumb to help push up as it comes around to catch that and have it up here, okay? I'm not pushing it up with the thumb, but my thumb is moving out of the way. These are moving out of the way, and then the thumb goes into that position to help it. So I just kept thinking, okay, well, when it swings around, let me make sure I move this finger and this finger up and out of the way. That way, when this goes down, there's plenty of space to catch them, okay? So then I just started practicing this catch. Now, the other thing I noticed is that it was slippery. So then I just, wet my fingers here a little bit. Not a lot. We don't want a lot of water on the nut there. But what I did was allowed a little bit so that I can make my hands somewhat sticky or to get a little bit of friction so that I can catch it. If my hands were very dry or this was very slippery, it was very smooth and it was slipping out whenever I try to catch it. So that was another thing that I did, was try to make it a little stickier. And it took, for me, it took about a week. Everyone's different. I've heard some people say it took them about a day, a couple of days. It took me about a week to consistently be able to catch them. Now, once I was able to catch it, I knew in order now to keep the shake while also keeping that going while also catching it, I was going to have to get good at catching it. And be good at shaking it. Now I knew that I'm good at playing shakers. I've been playing shakers, gigs and recordings, multiple recordings for many years. So I can play a shaker, no problem. Just like I'm talking to you, and I can play this 16th note groove, and I can change the tempo, right? And I can change the time signature and all of that. So that wasn't as much of the issue. The issue was catching it. So as I'm trying to play the shaker and trying to catch it, and then go back into the shaker, I realized, oh, I need to get good at catching. Once I get really good at catching it, then I can put them together. So I just kept practicing, trying to catch it over and over. Don't worry about anything else. Now, some people may say don't do too much of this. That's true. You want to be able to play here just like a shaker. However, the first things first, we need to create some momentum. So if it's going to help you to create some kind of swing, then go ahead and do that. Just don't overly do it, because coming way over here and catching it like that isn't what necessarily is going to help you, and it might create some bad habits later. However, if you need to kind of let your hand come up a little bit, that's okay, right? Main thing is just getting good at catching it. And now here's where the secret sauce is. Once you're able to catch it a few times, the practice has just begun. You have to keep going. Once you have a day where you've caught it 4 or 5 times, the next day you may be able to catch it 10 or 15 times. The next day, it might just be 10 or 15 times after about 20 minutes. The next day might be 10 or 20 times. But the secret sauce, the X factor, is doing that every day for a period of time. So if you're impatient with it or you struggle with that, give yourself a quota, give yourself a standard or a goal. I told myself for 2 weeks, all I'm going to do is just practice trying to get good at catching it. And what happened is by the 7th day, really by the 3rd or 4th day, I started to get on and off good. But by the 7th day, I was pretty good at catching it. That's because every day we're starting to add up. So you want to practice catching it, okay? And then you can start incorporating that shaker in there. Now, when you're shaking it, okay, you're going to release as you're coming back. So as it's going here, okay, you're going down 1 E, all right? If I'm playing a 16 note, 1 E or 1 and 2 and, right? So 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2. On that and, 1, as you're coming back up, you're gonna release, okay? Release and then catch, and then you'll be back down there. See that? So you'll down. So it's not throw it down. You can kind of think about it like that, throwing it, letting it go as you're going down, but it's going to be coming back up, that you're truly going to be swinging it back around. So you start with the down stroke, but your full release is as you're coming back to you. That makes any sense? It takes time. It takes time to learn this instrument. And notice this whole time I've only had one. Practice one at a time. Practice one at a time and get good at this. And just keep practicing this. Once you've gotten good at that, try to just go back and forth. Just practice going back and forth, and then try to incorporate the shaker in it. Once you've gotten good at playing and catching that, practice with both hands, okay? Practice with both hands. Practice with the other hand. Once you've gotten good with with one hand, each one, then you can start incorporating two. Okay, but practice one at a time. Now, I took them with me while driving, waiting for my kids in the car, the pickup line. I figure I'm going to sit there. I'm just going to practice. Not saying you should be driving around. You should focus on the road and all of that. I try to make sure that I'm parked or wherever I can focus. My point is, find out parts of the day when you're going places and you have some downtime, and then bring them with you, and then just practice. So that way, every single day you can carve out 5, 10, 15 minutes and to practice a little bit, and after a while, you'll get it. It's not about practicing for 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 hours in one day, trying to get it down and then get frustrated and quitting because you couldn't do it. You want to practice a bit every day for multiple days. That is where you will get it. All right?